In the heart of Ir, where the morning mist rose like ancestral breath and the drums of dawn called men to their destinies, there lived a man known as Babaláwo Òjó, though the people called him simply Ofin the Law. His words carried weight heavier than the talking drum. His presence, a quiet storm that even the proud bowed before. He was a man carved by justice, one whose shadow fell long across the land, reminding the wicked that no secret stays buried under the sun. Jay had one child, Adùnní, a daughter born after years of barren waiting and fervent prayers. To her, he gave the world, yet kept her guarded like the last flame in a windy night. Adùnní's laughter was like wind chimes in the harmattan breeze, but beneath it lay the mark of destiny, for beauty and innocence often draw both love and danger. It was said that Jay once served as the chief enforcer of the king's law, a hunter of thieves and betrayers. His hands had known both sword and scroll. He had walked among spirits and mortals, and in his eyes flickered the calm of one who had seen too much. Yet, when his wife died in childbirth, he laid down his sword and swore to raise his daughter as both flower and flame, gentle but unbreakable. Years later, when Adùnní came of age, Jay sent her to the city of scholars Elodin to learn the wisdom of the world. There she met Zion, a young man of noble blood whose family's wealth shone brighter than their character. The boy was drawn to her like a moth to fire, yet his world was one of deception and power. His father's lineage was rooted not in truth, but in gold bought from the suffering of others. Back in Ir, Jay had returned to his old duty, summoned by the council to serve once again as the king's hand of justice. The land had grown restless, thieves masquerading as traders, corrupt elders selling secrets in the night. A land without law is a drum without rhythm, the old man said. So Jay became the rhythm again. One moonless night, word came that a band of marauders had infiltrated the city. Their leader, a shadow known as Ekin, had vowed to bring Jay to his knees. Unknown to all, Ekin's fury was personal, for many seasons ago Jay had sentenced his brother to death for treason. Vengeance, like fire, had been passed from brother to brother, waiting for its hour. As the storm gathered, Adùnní fell ill, her body weakened, her dreams haunted by unseen hands. Jay, torn between duty and fatherhood, prayed by her bedside, whispering, "The gods of our fathers do not test me beyond measure." Yet destiny, with its cruel patience, had already taken root. Ekin's men struck at dawn, disguised as traders on the red earth path to Ir. But Jay was a lion that slept with one eye open. With his loyal warriors, he met them at the river's bend, steel against deceit, thunder against cunning. The ground shook with battle cries as the first light of morning spilled over the hills. When silence finally came, Ekin lay bound before Jay's feet. But the victory was bitter. A message arrived from Elodin. Adùnní had been poisoned. Zion's family, fearful of Jay's growing power, had struck at what he loved most. He rode through the night, guided only by the sound of his heart and the whispers of ancestors carried by the wind. At her bedside, Adùnní lay pale as moonlight. Jay's hands trembled as he called upon the old words, the prayer his mother taught him by the sacred river. He that dwells in the secret place of old Imar shall abide under the shadow of his wings. And it was said that as he prayed, the oil lamps flickered, and a soft wind entered the hut like a sigh from heaven itself. When morning came, Adùnní opened her eyes. The gods had spared her, but Jay knew what must be done. Justice must be complete. He returned to Ir with renewed fire and gathered the council. To follow the law is to protect life, he said, but to break it is to invite death into the compound. He presented the truth of Zion's family, their hands in the poisoning, their plots of deceit. The people trembled as secrets fell like rotten fruit. In that judgment hall, Jay's voice echoed through the pillars. The law is not a weapon of revenge but a covenant of balance. In the days that followed, peace returned to Ir. Zion repented and was exiled to the mountains, where he learned humility among hunters and farmers. Adùnní, her body healed and her spirit wiser, stayed by her father's side, learning to read the stars and the hearts of man. She grew into a woman whose strength was like the baobab, deep-rooted and sheltering. And as for Jay, the people built him a stool beside the palace gate. No longer the enforcer, he became the sage whose words guided the land. They said when Jay finally joined the ancestors, The skies rumbled as though the heavens themselves were saluting a soldier of truth. And on the night of his burial, a strange calm swept over Aiyar, the river silent, the fireflies still, as if the earth paused to honor the law. And so the elders tell it by firelight to this day, that justice walks slowly, but never stumbles, that love is both sword and shield, and that no man, however powerful, can outrun the truth. For as the Yoruba say, the path of truth may be narrow, but it never leads into the bush.